The discovery the trap is set. The vacuum of space held its eternal silence as Admiral Zithkar of the Velthari Empire stood on his flagship's bridge, studying the strange vessel drifting before them. The human ship looked damaged, powerless, like a wounded animal floating in the cosmic dark. Its hull bore scorch marks and what appeared to be battle damage. To the Admiral's experienced eye, it looked like another failed human attempt at expansion into Velthari territory. "Admiral," his tactical officer reported, "the vessel appears to be a human research ship. Our scans show minimal power signatures and no active weapon systems. We detect no life signs on the surface levels." Zethkar's 4 eyes gleamed with satisfaction. The Velthari had been observing human expansion for months, and their intelligence suggested that humans were technologically inferior, barely capable of interstellar travel. Here was proof. Their ships couldn't even survive basic space hazards. "What is its classification?" the Admiral asked, his translator rendering his clicking speech into standard galactic. "UE's Prometheus. Appears to be a research vessel," came the reply. "Length approximately 800 meters. Much smaller than our battle cruisers." The Admiral's mandibles clicked in amusement. The humans built such tiny ships compared to the massive kilometer-long vessels of the Velthari fleet. Everything about them seemed primitive and weak. The Velthari approach aboard the Prometheus. Commander Elena Vasquez lay perfectly still in her emergency sleep pod. The ship's AI had awakened her 30 minutes ago when alien vessels approached, but protocol demanded she remain hidden until the situation developed. Through her neural link to the ship's systems, she could observe everything happening outside. Alien ships were impressive, she had to admit. Sleek, organic-looking vessels that moved with fluid grace through space. Their technology was clearly advanced, perhaps centuries ahead of what most species achieved. But Elena smiled slightly. The Velthari were about to learn an important lesson about assumptions. "Dr. Chun," she whispered through the internal comm system, "are you receiving this?" "Copy, Commander," came the quiet reply from the ship's chief science officer. "Our guests are even more arrogant than intelligence predicted. They're not even taking basic precautions." Elena watched as the lead Velthari ship moved closer to the Prometheus. The alien scans were sophisticated, but they were looking for conventional technology. They had no idea what they were really dealing with. The false weakness scientist Prime Krythan supervised the scanning process from his laboratory aboard the Velthari flagship. The human vessel was even more primitive than their intelligence. Had suggested. Its hull was composed of basic metal alloys. Its power systems were simple fusion reactors, and its computer networks appeared to be crude quantum processors. "Fascinating," Krythan muttered to his assistant. "These humans still use physical control interfaces. Look at these readings. They have actual buttons and switches on their bridge." The assistant, a younger Velthari named Velinara, studied the data with interest. "Sir, their weapons appear to be kinetic projectile systems. Very basic compared to our plasma cannons." "Indeed." "And their defensive systems." Krythan paused to check another reading. "Energy shields powered by what appears to be a single fusion reactor. A child could disable such protection." What neither alien scientist realized was that they were seeing exactly what the Prometheus wanted them to see. The ship's true systems were hidden behind layers of deception, disguised as ordinary hull. Plating, maintenance equipment, and structural components. The boarding Admiral Zethkar made his decision quickly. "Prepare a boarding party. I want that ship captured intact. If we can understand human technology, we can plan our expansion into their territory more effectively." "Should we attempt communication first?" his communications officer asked. "No," the Admiral replied dismissively. "The ship appears damaged and abandoned. We will take what we need and dispose of the rest." The Velthari boarding shuttle, attached to the Prometheus's main airlock. 20 alien soldiers, each standing nearly 3 meters tall with their exoskeleton armor, cut through the outer door with plasma torches. They expected no resistance from a dead ship inside the Prometheus. Elena and her crew watched the boarders enter. The ship's corridors were dark, lit only by emergency lighting. The air was thin but breathable. Everything appeared to support the aliens' assumptions about a damaged, barely functional vessel. "Commander," Dr. Chun's voice whispered through her earpiece, "they're heading for the bridge first. They're not even posting guards at critical systems." "Good," Elena replied. "Let them feel confident. Begin recording everything. I want complete intelligence on their equipment, tactics, and psychology." The deception deepens. The Velthari soldiers moved through the Prometheus with casual confidence. Their leader, Captain Nekmer, had boarded dozens of alien vessels in his career. This human ship was disappointingly easy to navigate. "The design is so inefficient," he reported to Admiral Zethkar. "These humans waste enormous amounts of space on redundant systems. Every corridor has multiple power conduits, backup life, support, and emergency equipment. No elegance in their engineering." What Captain Nekmer didn't understand was that the inefficient design was actually brilliant. The Prometheus could lose 60% of its systems and still function perfectly. Human engineers didn't build for elegance. They built for survival. In the ship's hidden areas, the crew began their own intelligence gathering. Dr. Chun used microscopic sensors to analyze the aliens' equipment while they worked. Each piece of Velthari technology was recorded, its capabilities assessed, its weaknesses identified. "Elena," Dr. Chun whispered, "their armor has a critical flaw. The power coupling for their energy shields is externally mounted. A precise electromagnetic pulse could disable their protection completely." Elena filed the information away. Everything the aliens did was being cataloged and analyzed. The Prometheus might appear to be a research vessel, but its true purpose was intelligence gathering. The humans were learning as much about the Velthari as the aliens thought they were learning about humanity. The laboratory analysis back on the Velthari flagship, scientist Prime Krython began his detailed analysis of the human ship's systems. He was particularly interested in their computer networks, which appeared to be their most advanced technology. "Remarkable," he said to Admiral Zethkar during his first report. "The humans have achieved basic quantum processing, but their architecture is completely inefficient. They use thousands of small processors instead of a few powerful cores." "What does this tell us about their capabilities?" the Admiral asked. "Their technology is approximately 200 years behind ours," Krython replied confidently. "Their ships are slow, their weapons are weak, and their computer systems are vulnerable to our cyber warfare capabilities." The Admiral nodded with satisfaction. "How many ships do you estimate they possess?" "Based on their industrial capacity and resource allocation visible in their computer files, no more than a few hundred small vessels. Most appear to be exploration and research ships like this one." Both aliens were completely wrong. The distributed processing system they dismissed as inefficient was actually far more sophisticated than their centralized networks. It was nearly impossible to disable and could adapt to damage in ways that Velthari computers couldn't match. The crew awakens throughout the ship. More human crew members were quietly awakening. Engineer Sarah Kim activated the ship's hidden manufacturing systems. The Prometheus could produce its own ammunition, repair parts, and even sophisticated electronics using raw materials. "Initiating stealth production protocols," she whispered to Elena. "We'll have full defensive capabilities online within 6 hours." Medical Officer Dr. James Wright prepared countermeasures against potential biological warfare. The ship's medical bay could synthesize vaccines and treatments for thousands of known alien pathogens. Navigator Tom Rodriguez activated the ship's true propulsion systems. While the aliens examined the basic fusion rockets, the real engines remained hidden. The Prometheus could outrun any Velthari vessel when necessary. Each crew member had specific intelligence-gathering tasks. They recorded alien conversations, analyzed their technology, and assessed their military capabilities. The Velthari thought they were studying humanity, but they were actually being studied themselves. Asterisk. The truth emerged as Captain Neckner made his most significant discovery in what appeared to be the ship's main computer core. The human data files contained detailed information about dozens of star systems, including many in Velthari territory. "Admiral," he reported with growing excitement, "these humans have been gathering intelligence throughout our space. They have detailed maps of our colonies, military installations, and trade routes." Admiral Zefkar was intrigued. How did they gather this information without being detected? Their ship appears to have sophisticated stealth capabilities that we initially missed. They can observe activities without being seen. This revelation changed everything. The humans weren't just primitive explorers. They were conducting organized intelligence operations against the Velthari Empire. The real Prometheus. As the hours passed, Elena and her crew continued their observations. The Velthari were thorough, but made critical assumptions. They believed they understood human technology because they could see it working. They had no idea that most of the ship's true capabilities remained hidden. "Commander," Dr. Chun reported, "I've completed the initial analysis of their technology. Their energy weapons are powerful, but require significant charging time. Their shields are strong, but have a predictable frequency rotation. Most importantly, their computer systems are centralized and vulnerable to targeted interference." Elena nodded. The intelligence they were gathering would be invaluable to human defense forces. But more importantly, the Velthari were revealing their own weaknesses through their arrogance. The aliens assumed that superior technology guaranteed victory. They didn't understand that humans compensated for technological limitations with adaptability, creativity, and determination. The Velthari built elegant solutions to specific problems. Humans built flexible tools that could handle unexpected challenges. "Dr. Chun," Elena whispered, "begin Phase 2. It's time to show our guests what human ingenuity really looks like." The first part of their mission was complete. The Velthari believed they had captured a primitive human research vessel. Soon they would learn the truth about what they had really found drifting in space. Asterisk, the revelation, the awakening DR. Marcus Chun moved silently through the Prometheus's hidden maintenance tunnels, spaces too small for the tall Velthari to access. The ship's true architecture was a maze of concealed passages, redundant systems, and adaptive technology that the aliens couldn't even detect, let alone understand. Initiating cognitive warfare protocols, he whispered to Commander Vasquez through their encrypted neural link. Time to test their assumptions. Elena smiled grimly from her hiding spot. The Velthari had spent 18 hours analyzing what they believed was humanity's best technology. Now they would discover why humans had survived every challenge their hostile galaxy had thrown at them. The first surprise scientist, Prime Krython, was deep in his analysis when his instruments began showing impossible readings. The human computer system he had dismissed as primitive was suddenly demonstrating processing capabilities that exceeded Velthari standards. "Valenara," he called to his assistant, "check these readings." The human quantum processors appear to be multiplying. The younger scientist ran her own scans, and her face showed confusion. "Sir, the ship's computational power has increased by a factor of 10 in the past hour. That should be impossible with their hardware." What they didn't understand was that the Prometheus's distributed computing system was coming online. Every wall panel, floor plate, and structural beam contained processing units. The ship itself was the computer, and it was finally revealing its true capabilities. Human adaptability, Engineer Sarah. Kim had been busy in the ship's hidden manufacturing bays, using raw materials from the Velthari boarding equipment itself. She had produced 30 small devices that looked like ordinary ship components. Adaptive countermeasures deployed, she reported to Elena. If they try to access our real systems, they're in for a surprise. The devices were designed to learn from Velthari scanning attempts and evolve countermeasures in real time. Human technology didn't just work. It adapted and improved constantly. Meanwhile, the aliens continued their examination, unaware that their every action was being analyzed and countered. Captain Neckmer tried to access what appeared to be a secondary computer core, only to find that the system had somehow changed since his last scan. The human-computer architecture keeps shifting, he reported to Admiral Zethkar with growing frustration. Every time we map their systems, they appear different. The Velthari confusion Admiral Zethkar was beginning to have doubts about the easy victory he had anticipated. His boarding teams reported increasingly strange phenomena aboard the human ship. Systems that had been offline were suddenly active. Equipment that appeared simple was demonstrating complex capabilities. Scientist Prime, he called to Krythan, I need updated intelligence on human capabilities. Something about this situation doesn't match our expectations. Krythan studied his data with growing concern. Admiral, the human ship appears to be adapting to our presence. Their systems are evolving in response to our scanning attempts. That's impossible, the Admiral replied. Technology doesn't evolve. It's designed for specific functions. Velthari. Technology doesn't evolve, Krythan corrected quietly. But human technology appears to work differently. The psychological game DR. Wright had been monitoring the aliens' stress levels through microscopic sensors distributed throughout the ship. The Velthari were becoming increasingly agitated as their assumptions proved incorrect. Elena, he reported, their biochemistry indicates rising anxiety levels. They're starting to doubt themselves. This was exactly what Elena had hoped for. Humans understood that warfare wasn't just about technology. It was about psychology. The Velthari needed to feel confident and superior to function effectively. Take away that confidence, and their advanced technology became much less threatening. Begin. Phase 3, Elena ordered. Time for direct contact. The voice in the dark Captain Neckmer was attempting to access the ship's navigation computer when a calm, human voice spoke directly into his communication system. Good morning, Captain. I hope you're finding your unauthorized tour educational. Neckmer froze, his weapon instantly drawn. Who is this? Show yourself. Commander Elena Vasquez, captain of the U.E.'s Prometheus, the voice replied pleasantly. I've been watching your team's work. Quite thorough, though you've missed a few important details. Impossible, Neckmer stammered. Our scans showed no life signs. Your scans showed what we wanted them to show, Elena replied. Human technology has this interesting characteristic. It's designed to be underestimated. The real technology on the Velthari flagship, and Neil Zethkar listened to the conversation with growing alarm. The human captain was speaking from a supposedly dead ship, somehow accessing Velthari communication systems at will. Asterisk. How are you transmitting? He demanded. The same way we've been observing your fleet for the past 3 days, Elena replied calmly. The Prometheus isn't a research vessel, Admiral. It's an intelligence ship. Everything you've learned about human technology is exactly what we wanted you to learn. Dr. Chun activated the ship's true systems for the first time. The Prometheus transformed around the startled Velthari boarding party. Walls that had appeared to be simple metal revealed themselves as sophisticated display screens. Equipment that looked primitive demonstrated capabilities that exceeded anything in the Velthari fleet. Your mistake, Elena continued, was assuming. That advanced technology must look advanced. Humans learned long ago that the best weapons are the ones your enemy doesn't recognize as weapons. The hunter becomes the hunted. Navigator Rodriguez brought the ship's real engines online. The Prometheus, which had appeared dead in space, suddenly accelerated at impossible speeds. The Velthari fleet found themselves trying to keep up with a vessel they had thought was helpless. "Admiral," his tactical officer reported in panic, "the human ship is moving at velocities that should tear it apart. Their acceleration is beyond our physics models." Elena's voice continued to broadcast on all Velthari frequencies. "You see, Admiral, humans don't build elegant solutions to specific problems. We build tools that can handle problems we haven't even thought of yet. Your ships are beautiful, but they're specialized. Our ships are designed to survive anything." The Prometheus demonstrated its point by moving through a debris field at high speed, its adaptive hull automatically adjusting to minimize damage, while its distributed systems rerouted around any components that were compromised. "The intelligence coup during your 18-hour examination of our ship," Elena continued, "we've learned everything about your technology, your tactics, and your psychology. Your soldiers' armor, your scanning equipment, your communication systems. We've analyzed it all. Dr. Chun had indeed gathered incredible intelligence. The Velthari equipment was sophisticated but predictable. Their tactics were effective but inflexible. Most importantly, their psychology was based on assumed superiority. Remove that assumption, and they became much less effective. In fact," Elena said with satisfaction, "we now know more about your military capabilities than you know about ours. That's the difference between a species that builds for elegance and a species that builds for survival." The demonstration Sarah Kim activated one of her adaptive countermeasures. The device, which had been learning from Velthari technology for hours, suddenly began interfering with their ship's systems. Not destructively, but persistently, proving that human technology could adapt to overcome any defense. "Your central computer systems are impressive," Elena noted, "but they have a critical weakness. They assume they're facing technology similar to your own. Human systems don't work that way. We build redundancy, adaptability, and unpredictability into everything." The Velthari boarding party found themselves trapped as the ship's corridors reconfigured around them. Not dangerously, but thoroughly, demonstrating that they were completely at the mercy of their supposed prisoners. The lesson learned. Admiral Zethkar finally understood the trap they had fallen into. "You allowed us to capture you. We needed to understand what we were dealing with," Elena confirmed. "The Velthari Empire has been expanding aggressively. Humanity needed to know if you were a genuine threat or just another species that assumed advanced technology guaranteed victory." "And your conclusion?" the Admiral asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. "You're dangerous because of your technology," Elena replied honestly. "But you're predictable because of your arrogance. That makes you manageable. The real fleet, of course," Elena continued conversationally, "you should know that the Prometheus isn't alone out here. We've had a full battle group observing your fleet since you entered this system." Space around the Velthari ships shimmered as human vessels decloaked. Not the primitive ships the aliens had expected, but sophisticated warships that had been invisible until they chose to reveal themselves. "Advanced stealth technology," Elena explained. "Another human innovation. We learned long ago that the best battle is the one your enemy doesn't know they're fighting." The choice Admiral Zethkar stared at the tactical display showing his fleet, surrounded by human ships. His vessels were more advanced individually, but the humans had positioned themselves perfectly and clearly understood Velthari capabilities better than he understood theirs. "What do you want?" he asked. "Communication," Elena replied simply. The galaxy is big enough for both our species, but only if we understand each other. You assumed humans were primitive and planned to conquer us. We've demonstrated that we're more capable than you realized. Now we can discuss terms as equals. The Admiral considered his options. His fleet could probably win a direct battle, but the cost would be enormous. More importantly, the humans had demonstrated capabilities that suggested they had more surprises waiting. We will discuss terms, he said finally. The resolution hours later, as the two fleets faced each other in carefully neutral positions. Elena finally revealed herself to the Velthari. She was smaller than they had expected, unremarkable in appearance, but her presence filled the communication screen with quiet confidence. This is what humans do, she explained to Admiral Zethkar. We adapt, we learn, we survive. Your technology is impressive, but technology alone doesn't win wars. Psychology, strategy, and the willingness to do whatever is necessary, those win wars. The Admiral nodded slowly. Your species is more formidable than our intelligence. Suggested. Most species underestimate us initially, Elena replied. We've learned to use that to our advantage. But we prefer cooperation to conflict when possible. The choice is yours, Admiral. As the Velthari fleet withdrew to consider humanity's offer of dialogue, Elena allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The mission had been a complete success. They had gathered invaluable intelligence, demonstrated human capabilities, and established the foundation for future negotiations. The Prometheus resumed its course through space, looking once again like a simple research vessel. But now the Velthari knew the truth. Sometimes the most dangerous predator is the one that doesn't look dangerous at all. Dr. Chun, Elena said as she settled back into her command chair, prepare a full report for command. I think they'll be very interested in what we've learned about our new neighbors. The human crew returned to their duties, satisfied that they had once again proven the fundamental truth of their species. It's not the size of the ship that matters. It's the ingenuity of the crew that sails it. Asterisk.